more than enough. And that's what our cry is. I think most of our cries is families. We don't have enough time. We don't do enough with our kids. We don't have enough organization in our lives. Our cry is that we don't have enough. Can I tell you, as a family, God wants to bring you to a place of more than enough. Just a little bit of review. If you're taking notes, remember, your family becomes God's family. That's the first step. You and your household come into a covenant with Jesus. This is what gives you vision and values. It's what makes your family unique. God says, you're going to be special to me in all the earth. That's what we answered last week. Will you be God's family? Secondly, you become a cohesive fighting force. This gives you purpose and mission. It's not fam versus fam, but it's fam versus wild. And thirdly, you are brought into a place of more than enough. And so here we have, God has establishing all this, and He's having this family dinner. And then in verse 12, God is going to speak to Moses here. Now, God's laid out the covenant. They're celebrating this family dinner. They're actually eating the peace offerings that were offered for the covenant. God's about to teach Moses some more things about the priesthood and the tabernacle and the Ark of the Covenant and all that kind of stuff. And God makes this very powerful statement to Moses. And He's teaching Moses here, look, you have to understand this one thing. There is this one principle that if you don't have in the fabric of family, it's not going to work. God is going to speak this to Moses, and He's teaching Moses a principle that we must have, a value that we must understand. It's a foundational principle. It's crucial. It's a crucial part of the fabric of every family, every marriage, and the relationships with our kids. God's about to teach Moses something here. Listen, you will not thrive. You will not overcome. You will not be this cohesive fighting force unless you understand this one crucial thing. And it's found right here in verse 12. In a simple sentence, God says, come up to me on the mountain. And then He adds this, and be there. And be there. God just kind of throws come up to me on the mountain. He's about to say, and then you're going to teach children of Israel. But He says in Moses, but you cannot forget this one thing. You got to be there. And I want to say this to all the moms, to all the dads, to everyone here that has any family. Listen, if you want your family to thrive, you got to be there. You got to show up. You've got to be there for them. What God's about to tell Moses, look, I'm about to give you some more values and all these things. And here's the deal. If you want to teach the children of Israel, God's saying, Moses, if you want your family to get these values, if you want your family to turn out the way that you want them to, the way that I want them to, you're going to have to remember this, Moses. You're going to have to be there. You're going to have to show up, and you're going to have to be there. Just look at the person next to you and say, just be there. Just be there. It's that simple. Just be there. For any family to work, you got to be there. We all know that the way that love is expressed, one of the main ways that love is expressed is through time. Let me talk to you about being there. What I think we've kind of got into a thing in Christianity here, and it's becoming confusing, and I think it actually hinders people in some ways from understanding the importance of being there. How many of you have heard that word quality time? Heard that word quality time. Just spend quality time. In other words, they don't say just spend time with your family. They say spend quality time. Quality, and it needs to be good quality. And I can remember Carrie and I, as we were raising our kids, and we would read these books, and it would never just say spend time with your kids. It wouldn't say be there. It just say you got to have quality time. And I remember I would read these books. I remember one book I read, one every week, 52 examples of quality time with your kids. When you get home from work, hurry up before it's dark and get your daughter and take her outside in the backyard and pick a flower. And as you look at that flower, get her to write down what that flower reminds her of and tie it into how she is beautiful. I don't have any flowers in my backyard, dog. I got like thorns, man. I got like a weed. Oh, quality time. When you got to have a family dinner every night. And a family dinner is not a family dinner unless you turn off the TV and make sure the house is totally quiet, and then have the perfect dinner, and then get everybody to sit around the table. And then when everything's quiet, you light some candles and everyone stare at one another and express your most inner feelings, and make sure that you follow that up with a family meeting. Yes, a family meeting. You need an hour family meeting every single week. That's quality time. What? Are you kidding me? And Carrie and I, we actually got into this thing. Well, is this quality time? Is this not quality time? Let me just help everybody out. Forget about quality time and just start by being there. Will you just be there? Just show up. Your kids, your family, they need you to be there. Listen, you go home, how about this? Keep the TV on. But everybody get around the TV. How about this for a first step? Everybody watch the same show. Oh yeah, we're going to lower the bar today. You're going to feel real good after this message. You know, instead of everybody being in the TV room and one kid has his DS and one kid has the iPad and then mom's watching her show and somebody's on the computer, I'm redefining quality time as all the family look at the same screen. Who's with me out there? Preferably the football game when it's football season. Here's what I'm trying to say. You cannot have quality time without quantity time. And most of the times that we would say, wow, that was a great moment. Wow, that was a quality moment. You know what that is? Many times those are spontaneous, and it comes out of those times when you were just there. You're just being there. God can fill in those gaps. But what you have to do is you've got to shoot for quantity. You've got to be there as much as you can. And let's stop thinking about, oh, there's some magical, high-quality grade steak time that somehow, if, you know, even though it's this micro amount, if we can define it and get it perfect and have everything right, we can go in there and I can just spend a few minutes with my family. Oh, but the quality. You want to know where quality time became a buzzword? I hate to say this. It happened in the early 80s. With the whole thing when the term yuppies came out and everyone, you know, the husband and the wife were working full-time jobs. And so all of a sudden this word started coming out, quality time. And what it kind of described was, hey, we're so busy, we can't spend much time with each other and our kids. Oh, but the time that we spend with them, it's going to be quality time. It's going to be quality time. And really much of that was just an excuse to not be there. To not be there. Listen, you got to be there. Just show up. You know, you got kids, just bring them with you. You go into the store, just bring them with you. That's an adventure for many of you. I'm telling you, I take my kids to Publix. Sometimes it could be as good as Disney World. It just depends on what happens. I mean, I got Stovey. I don't know how much. I'm telling you, I think I could be prosecuted by Publix. I don't know how much my son actually eats before we get to the checkout line. He got like one bag of chips left. I saw him earlier with like a Coke and donuts and, you know, just be there. You can't find it. Look, I'm going to play golf. If I can, I'm just putting one of them in the golf cart. It ends up being a great time. My son, he was attacked by this hybrid duck at this beast. Have you seen some of these ducks on the golf course? I don't know if they're drinking water. It's the toxins from the fertilizer. These ducks are monsters. They're mutants. Got like 2 beaks coming out and a big thing coming out of their head. It's better than the zoo. Listen, will you just be there? Will you be there as much as you can? This is what God is telling Moses. He's not putting a lot of qualifications around this. He's saying, Moses, you're going to come up on the mountain. And here's the deal. The number one thing that you have to understand, because you're about to instruct the children of Israel, the number one thing I need you to understand about family, the number one thing I need to understand, none of these things are going to work that I'm about to download to you. Number one thing that you got to know is you got to be there, Moses. You got to be there. Don't worry about defining quality and quantity and all this kind of stuff. Just be there as much as you can. Listen, many of you families, you're doing a lot better than you think. I don't know about you, but all the time it's like this guilt. You know, we're busy, we're doing as much as we can, and you think, oh, well, this wasn't the best time, and if you would have just taken them over here, or what? Listen, God can make all of that up. The grace of God is sufficient for you. You do what you can, and you just be there. Will you just show up and make sure you're there?